Welcome to AI for Leaders, Insights on Driving Productivity and ROI. So what do I mean by that? And sorry, I'm just going to admit somebody in the waiting room. Now, before we dive into talking about how AI can help you in your role, what I want to really do is address the elephant in the room and answer the question, can AI really help me do my job faster and easier? Now, in our experience, it's shown us that AI, it knows your job, doesn't matter what it is. It knows how it can help you do it faster and easier. And I'm just letting people in as well. Sorry, I'm just trying to do two things at once, and I'm doing neither of them particularly well. So let me start that again. Can AI really help me do my job faster and easier? So it does know your job, even though you think your job might be different. It does know how it can help you do your job faster and easier. And for those of you who are working in a job, this can lead to improved productivity, which also translates into promotability and also to eventually an increase in pay. And if you're running your own business, the translation for the productivity is into growth and improved profits. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to swap over to ChatGPT. And I'm going to just run you a short demo to show you how AI really does know your job. So let's get started with this GPT. So normally what I would do is put in a description and quite a lot of information. What I'm going to do today is I'm just going to do sales manager at a manufacturing, if I could spell, though it doesn't really matter with ChatGPT, company with 200 employees. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because in my past life, I have been a sales manager, so I do have a good idea of when the results come out, whether they're good or not. So this is what, if you were training with me, this is what we would do first, is we would come up with your role plan or how we would help you to be more efficient in your role. Now, as you can see, for a sales manager, it's come up with 8 core competencies, and underneath there, each of those has been broken down into 8 role deliverables. Now, what we've also done is we've looked at the effectiveness matrix as well. So these are some of the key challenges that you might face in your role. Things like revenue growth, lead quality, forecast accuracy, sales target achievement, all of those sort of things. So what we want to demonstrate to you is how it would help you actually do your role. So would somebody like to choose one of the deliverables that they would like to see in more detail?
How about prospect lists?
Prospect list. Hi, Guy, how are you?
I'm good. You?
Excellent, thank you. Was it prospect list?
Yeah, lists. Yeah.
Lists.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what it comes up with. So this is what we would do in our yellow belt training, is show you how to actually take a role deliverable and then create all of the steps that you need to do to generate the prospect list. So as you can see, what we've come up with is a series of prompts. And to actually implement what's been created, then you would start a new chat. You can either do that in 4.0, or you can use the 01 mini, which has more reasoning capability to generate the outcome that you need. So let's have a look and just see, by doing this, roughly how much time you've saved when you've just run that one role deliverable And if you do this quite regularly, you can imagine that each month the amount of time saved would increase. Now, I'm not sure whether $50 an hour is a great rate for a sales manager these days, but you get the idea. So then if we have a look at as once you've done your training, and as you work through the training, you would work through each of the role deliverables that we come up with for you. So by the time you get to the end, you would have productivity gains and time saving for all of the different deliverables across your role. So now it's doing a time study in terms of how much time a sales manager in that sort of role could actually save. So we're looking at roughly 60% of time saving. Now, the next question would be, what would you do with that extra time? I know for me, I just go to the beach, but I work for myself, so that's okay. So let's say, yes, we'd like to see how this could make the company more profitable. So the first one is the bottom line optimization, where you actually turn that role into a fractional role. Now, for some companies, that might be a necessity, but it's not something that we really hope would happen very often. I would be expecting more to see things like output optimization, where your payroll stays the same, but the person doing the role can boost their productivity by 2 to 5 times, depending on what they're actually working on. Or number 3, strategic problem solving, where you actually create time in a person's calendar so that they can look at addressing the bigger challenges and have more of a strategic, proactive focus. And I know for myself, from in my days when I was a sales manager, if I could have actually had a little bit of extra time rather than feeling like I was chasing my tail most of the time, that would have been really valuable. So let's just quickly see if we did a little bit more of an analysis on number 3, what kind of things would be suggested. Now, bear in mind that this is generative AI, so this is large language model. Each time you run it, you're going to get slightly different output. But also, if you ran this question and it came up with 3 ideas, and you looked at that and you thought, I don't really like any of those, you'd simply just talk to ChatGPT like an assistant and say, I don't like these, give me 3 more options. And I'm sort of training myself to not keep typing please and thank you all the time, because whilst it is an ingrained habit, it's not really necessary. So there we go. So then we've got 3 more. So that just gives you an idea of how we go about structuring the implementation of AI into an organization. So from watching that demo, what I'd like you to take away is that, AI really does know your role, and we can, like from that draft, we can create something that is pretty close to what you actually do. But also for people and for companies wanting to implement AI and become more, I guess, AI infused or AI powered, by creating a role plan like this is actually your roadmap for implementing. Because one of the other things that we can do is run an exercise where we look at the impact of all different role deliverables and figure out what order you would do them in. So that was a quick start demo, and then I thought I probably should stop and introduce myself now. So for those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Michelle Hill. I'm an AI transformation expert, and our goal is to empower human potential with AI. So I'm a consultant with a group called Simple AI. I'm a former sales and marketing executive, and I spent a number of years working both in the food industry and the packaging industry here in Australia. I'm also a business and results coach. And for those of you who like to study, I do have an MBA from the University of Queensland. And I'm not going to tell you how long ago I actually achieved that. And for me, my inspiration comes through adventure travel. And fun fact, I actually do some work with a trekking company in Nepal. So if any of you are interested in going to Nepal or Tibet, I'm the person you should speak to.
Mm-hmm.
So as I mentioned, my thoughts around this are that the purpose of AI is really to amplify our potential. It's not to replace people. Like some of the tools that you see and the bots that you see, particularly in the customer service area, are designed to take out people's jobs. What I'm looking at is how do I teach people how to use large language models to actually unlock their potential and to really understand what is possible by using all of these different tools. Now, the other thing too, particularly if you're in middle to senior management, is to start to think of AI as your strategic thought partner. So instead of just asking for ideas, for answers like, do this for me, what's this? Come up with ideas and start to, as I did before, start to talk to it and ask it about things. And then not only take at face value what you get out, but get it to actually defend its suggestions. You know, a lot of people say to me, oh, it's no point using ChatGPT because like everything's wrong and it doesn't give you facts and all that. If I ask for something factual, I always request the source and a clickable link to be provided as well, so I can quickly check that it's not making things up. And it does know everything. So if you want to use decision frameworks, you don't have to explain like what analysis you want, whether you want a SWOT analysis or you want to do a DISC profile on somebody. It does know what all of those things are. But what I would also remind everybody is there's a number of different models at the moment. So you have 4O, which is more of, I guess you could call it the workhorse, like you put prompts in and it gives you responses. And then you have O1, which is more of the reasoning model, and it will analyze what you've asked and give you responses. The thing to remember with O1 is that it doesn't have access to the web yet. So if you're used to using 4O and just putting in a company name or a URL, that won't work when you go to the reasoning model. You have to actually give more context and tell it what you want. So have a think about for yourself where you are with AI. Is it non-existent in your world? Is it emerging? Is it developing? Is it quite advanced for you, but maybe not in your organization? Or are you optimized? And then the other question you might be asking yourself is, why should I trust you? Like, particularly for those of you who haven't met me before, am I just some random person telling you about AI? Well, I'm actually part of, as I said, Simple AI, which is a community of over 100 fractional executives based all around the world. And we have experience in all different industries and we come from all different backgrounds. And together we have been developing the training and the different ideas that I'm presenting to you today. But we've all been in your shoes. When I first started using ChatGPT a bit over 12 months ago, it used to frustrate me because I would put what I thought were really clear instructions in, and then I would get all this gobbledygook back out. So that's the technical term, gobbledygook, by the way. So what do we think is going to happen? So when you look at it, we've got 5 levels of knowledge work. And for a business or an organization, when you're doing the planning process, you normally start at objectives, move down to projects, down to deliverables, down to tasks, and down to actions. And then the doing is moving back up there. But often what happens is that these get clarified, these get clarified, these get clarified. Then everyone goes back from the strategic planning process, and the day-to-day work takes over, and these don't get clarified, these don't get clarified. So the movement up that side of the path, pardon me, doesn't happen. And it's commonly agreed, I'm not sure how much information or reading you've done around AI or listening to podcasts, that there is actually 5 stages of AI development. So chatbots, reasoning, agents, innovators, and organizations. So chatbots is up to ChatGPT 4.0 or now I can't remember the exact names of the other models. I do most of my work in ChatGPT personally, but what I do is relevant for all large language models. But we are only just tiptoeing into the reasoning level with O1 from ChatGPT. And you might have seen recently with the Notebook LLM, which is it the Notebook LLM? There's so many coming out lately, I've lost track, but one of the ones that will actually do the computers, like it acts like you're actually at the computer, but you're not. Now that's only in very, very early stages. So I would say we still have a way to go before everyone is comfortable in this area. And then you look at the other things in terms of orders of time magnitude. So how long does it take you to do something? Is it weeks, days, hours, minutes, or seconds? And what we've been finding by implementing AI into role deliverables and what we do every day is that some of the things that were taking us days and hours are now down to minutes and seconds. And even some of the things that took weeks, because information gathering can sometimes take a long time. But on this side of the equation, it's like, how long can AI work autonomously? Now, we are still down here. When O1 first came out, we were giving it challenges to see how long we could get it to think and analyze. And a couple of us got it up to just over 60 seconds. But when we start to move to agents and innovators, you're going to see the time that AI can work autonomously is going to move up through hours, into days, into weeks. So, I mean, that's all a lot to take in. And the way we envisage like the modern AI tech stack is that most people will have their base large language model, and it'll be like anything. People will choose their favorite and work in their favorite. And then there'll be specialized AI workflow tools. Say, for argument's sake, if you're in the legal profession, you might have a specialized tool just for legal work. And I understand, like, I'm just trying to think of another example, but my mind's gone blank. All other software that we use will be AI enabled. And then we're looking at what we're calling an AI CV for skills first hiring. And this is a new term that I just heard recently called new collar jobs. So we have white collar and blue collar at the moment, but new collar will be the people who are trained on AI for their role, who can step into a role and be productive straight away. So as I mentioned, we are just at the early stages. So our focus right now is to help you understand both how to use chatbots and how to use the reasoning AI to help you actually do your job faster and easier. Now, what is it that really matters for most people? And like, whilst I've been talking about having AI do your role deliverable faster and easier, what about AI helping you provide solutions to real problems? And again, same as with your role, it knows all your challenges, it knows multiple solutions, and AI can become your expert thought companion. So I'm going to run a demo for you. Or will I, actually what I might do is I ran this one earlier and I'm just going to walk you through it, because if you're interested and we have time at the end, I can give you the link and you guys can have a play at this one. So this is your problem solving coach. So this is structured. So what is your current role? So I use the same thing, sales manager at a packaging organization. So it comes up with 12 different responsibilities that you might have, but it also gives you the option to add a different one if the 12 that you want have not been covered off. So I just randomly chose product and pricing strategy. Now, then what we did was we go through a series of clarifying questions. So based on what I've chosen here, then these are questions that are generated based on this. And then I've just said A, that I've had difficulty aligning pricing with market demands. Now, the next question is generated based on whatever answer I've given here. So every time you run this GPT, even if you are looking at solving the same problem, depending on how you answer this, you're going to get very different solutions. So again, I've gone through and given it answers. Did C on that one, clarifying, communicating the value behind the price. And then I said C. So now what it's doing is it's giving me a framework for potential solutions. So it's come up with 8 potential solutions to the problem that I've stated. And now this is something else that I wanted to show you too. Just because it's come up with those 8 solutions, you don't have to accept those 8. So I've just said these don't align. Could I see some alternates? So that has given me a different 8 to choose from. So I've chosen number 3. So what we get now is the purpose, scope, responsibilities, and the procedure. So does that look fairly close to a standard operating procedure for you? So again, if you're in a position where you need to create procedures, like it's not so much I would give you this tool to use, I would teach you how to create these tools for yourself to actually generate what you need. So then I've got to the end and I've said, provide the best prompt I need for each of these 8 steps. So again, we've come up with the prompts. So all you would need to do then is put the prompts in and run that. You don't copy and paste all of them, you run them one at a time. You can, if you're working in 4.0, it gets overwhelmed and confused if you put a whole series of prompts in together as one big long prompt, which is why we tend to do GPTs, because it breaks it all down and it can do one thing at a time and it doesn't get confused. When you're working in 01, which is the reasoning model, you don't use GPTs, you use longer prompts, and you could put all of these prompts in and say, run these prompts one at a time, and then ask me any clarifying questions along the way, and that will work. So you've kind of got to be mindful of what model that you're working in. And I was listening to something the other day where they were talking about, okay, sometimes it's a bit confusing deciding which model you should work in, and that ultimately where this is probably going is that there will be, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 different models available, And depending what you ask is then the large language model will decide which model is best for you. So if you're using ChatGPT and you went in, it might decide, oh, well, O1 is best for this query, or no, this is just straight easy prompt. So we'll just put you in 4.0. Where are we up to? Okay. So for many people, it's a question of, I know I need to get into this, but I really don't know where to start. And then this gray box in the middle is like, what could I do? But I don't really know. And then even then, I have no idea how far I can take this, because a lot of people really do not understand what the true capabilities of using a large language model are. And I hope you're not getting the sirens in the background at my place at the moment. That's good. So then also it is about proving your AI capability. So at the moment, a lot of people are over here. When I say crawling, you're at the infancy stage where you are using ChatGPT or some other large language model, and you're getting some output. You've learned a few things. You might have seen some stuff on LinkedIn where someone's given you some prompts that seem to work really well, but it's not cohesive, and it's not really targeting, how do you focus in on making what you need to do every day faster and easier. So that's where our training comes in, the black belt training. We can teach you how to walk. And then from there, help support you with the capabilities so that you can work your way through all of your role deliverables and really save the time at the end of the day. So we work on AI transformation method. So essentially what we are all about is equipping every single employee, or if you're a solopreneur, every single business owner, to produce every single role deliverable faster and easier with AI. And that is where we get the transformational productivity gains. Now, how are we different? Well, we can actually demonstrate that within the first hour of training, you are getting productivity gains. This is a report from a cohort after they'd done their first hour of training. The time saved is annualized, and then it's averaged back to the first hour gains. So you can see on average a $4,000 productivity gain. But what you can also see here too is somebody didn't want to play. They didn't like being in the training, so they didn't contribute. But what we've seen happen, and this happens all the time, these people here see what's happening for all these other people, and then they realize, and the penny drops, and then they actually become the biggest advocates as well. Also, who wouldn't want to be more efficient, more engaged, and increase their effectiveness? Now, these results here, this is the survey that we do at the end of the black belt training. So there's 9 sessions. The first session is to do your role plan, and then we have 8 belts from white to black. Now, as you can see, it's not 10 out of 10 everywhere, but these are pretty good results, and we're working on progression rather than perfection. Eventually we will see these numbers grow, but for cohorts to start off with, they're training in something which in many cases is completely unfamiliar to them, to after 8 sessions giving us good scores like that is quite rewarding. Now, the other thing too is that our results are highly predictable because we focus on helping you to get those productivity gains, and we know what to train you on so that you can do all of the different things in your role faster and easier, to the point where we do offer a minimum of 333% ROI guaranteed by the time you finish the black belt. That is, of course, assuming that all of your reports and homework are finished. So what's holding people back? Well, we term it the psychological safety factor. In quite a few organizations, they've focused on tools rather than what do people need to be more productive. And when tools are introduced into an organization, there's often that fear that that is going to replace my job. So when we start to explain that by approaching it from this perspective and using the large language models every day in everything you do, like becoming an AI first, like every time you do something, you just go to AI, that helps de-stress people. And we actually show them too, like with that time study, how much time we can save them. But in general, most people need to move through each of these 5 stages until they get to the transformation. But then what's going to happen is each time we go to the new level of AI development, so from chatbot to reasoning, most people are going to come back down here again because they don't understand it and they don't understand what impact it's going to be. And then when we go to agents, I think most of us are all going to go back down here because a lot of people really don't understand, including the people who are developing them, what the impact of agents are going to be long term. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out today too is that nobody actually talks about the AI psychological safety. It's all about AI tools. And I don't know what your LinkedIn feed is like, but mine is full of people offering bots and prompts. And then if you listen to mainstream media, there's a lot of sensational reporting about, how it's going to massively cut jobs and do this and do that. So everybody's looking at, like, what are the tools, but nobody's really looking at what is the psychological safety for the people involved in this. So what I'm going to say to you now too, you might not agree with, but why now? Like, why should you jump in now? Because I think this is your once in a lifetime opportunity to actually become the AI hero, either in your organization or in your industry. So somebody is going to get the credit for bringing the AI solution that creates transformational productivity gains, either in your organization or in your industry. And it should be you. So you actually have 2 options. You lead and it will happen because of you, or you follow and pretty soon it will happen to you. So I just want you to think about that for a little bit and think about how this opportunity really only comes along once in a lifetime. And by embracing this and being part of it, rather than stepping back and saying, oh, I'll just let the wave go past me, you could change your future. So how does it all work if you want to work with me? So there's 3 steps to how we approach this. We do your AI role plan workshop. So the demo that I showed at the start, that's the start of the workshop. And then we go into more depth in terms of taking the draft and actually getting you to work with that until you're satisfied that it's at least 95% representative of what you do in your role. So that then creates this part here in the middle. And you can see we've grayed out 8 of the role deliverables, because when we work on the black belt training, each time we do a training session, we get you to choose a role deliverable to work on and apply the learnings that you've just learnt in that session. So we start you off by getting you comfortable with how the base models work and how you interact with them, how you use AI in your role, how you can use it as your cognitive thought partner, how you can build automations. And what I was showing you earlier, the GPTs, that's what I'm talking about when I say building automations. Then we look at how to scale things by analyzing workflows. We look at the future, possible futures of your role, and how do we create an agent-like process. That's the brown belt. And then in the black belt, we look at automations and API. So how do we link your large language model with other software platforms that you're using? For instance, if you have an inventory program, you can link ChatGPT to your inventory program so it can monitor min and max quantities and what's being used, and when things need to be ordered and all those sort of things. Now, we also track your progress. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so confident about offering you the guarantee, because when you do the black belt training, by the time you've done the training, you will have submitted 8 of these transformation reports. And this is like, how long did that task take you with AI? How long did it typically take you in the past? And how many hours will this save you per month? Now, if this is something new that you've never done before, we can show you how to do a time study and figure that out. And then also we ask you, like, were you satisfied, etc., etc. So by measuring everything, then we know exactly like what your productivity gains are. And for an organization, you have a login, there's a dashboard, all of this data is reported back, and we can provide weekly reports on what's happening as well. So the next thing I was going to do is show you how much time you can actually save by setting up an agent like GPT. So in this is meant to emulate some of the processes that happen in an AI marketing agency, where the agency needs to work with a new client and figure out a deliverable. So what we're going to do is I'll show you how it does almost the entire workflow, and then we'll produce a high converting email sequence for the client. Now I'm just going to get that one started. I've got a list over on the left of my GPTs that I'm just drawing on. So to get started, I'm just going to use the example that it's giving me rather than, or would somebody else, does someone else have something they would like to put in here, or are you happy for me just to put in my normal example? Going once, going twice, gone. Okay. So let's do this one. Now, what normally happens when you work with a marketing agency is the first thing that they will do is have a psychology expert talk to your customers and work out what their dreams are, what their past failures. Talking slowly because I can't remember what's coming up next, but normally this would be done by going out and interviewing people, because we have access to the web and we have access to all sorts of information. It's coming up with all of these suggestions for us. Now we're going to the brand story expert. So, and you notice I'm just abbreviating. You don't have to use full words. And also when you are putting in information to give it context, you don't have to have it formatted beautifully so it can understand. Sometimes I just copy and paste people's LinkedIn profile to get an idea. So this is the brand story expert, where we have the hero's journey. So we have the character has a problem, who meets a guide, gives them a plan, calls them to action, helps them avoid failure, and ends in success. Now it's time to go to the copywriters. So let's go to that step. Let's do 2 emails, Monday and Friday. So you could ask for 20 or whatever you feel like, because you can see if it's very quickly generating. Now I know I'm scrolling fairly quickly, but they look reasonable. And you and I both know that you don't just copy and paste from ChatGPT anyway. But what we're going to do now is a really important step. And it's something that if you're not doing when you're using ChatGPT could help you improve the quality of your output, is we're actually going to get the original output reviewed by somebody else, and then we will then implement their suggestions. So now we've gone from copywriter to creative director, which is a higher position in a marketing agency. You don't necessarily have to give it a persona to do that second run. You can just say, please critique the work that you've done and give me the suggestions for improvement. And now we've got all the suggestions for improvement. And then we're going to get the final draft incorporating the suggestions for improvement. Okay. So that's taken us just a few minutes. Now, in the normal course of things, this would take a lot longer. So this is a demonstration, obviously. So it's set up to tell you how much, if you had this all done by different people, how many hours and what sort of cost you would be up for. So there's a couple of implications here when you think about it. In the future, people who are offering agency services, as people become more proficient and understand more about large language models, they will be expecting either different outcomes, like whether the outcome was created by people or whether it was AI generated or whether it was a mixture of both. And then there'll need to be some sort of justification as well, because if 2/3 of the project was generated by AI, then the price that's charged will need to reflect that. So that's part of, I think, some of the industry disruptors that we have coming our way in the future. Now, we have about 15 minutes left, and I was going to get you to run a problem-solving exercise for yourself, because I'm assuming you all can access your ChatGPT. And then afterwards, if you're willing to share, just let me know what's one thing that you're excited about, one thing you're worried about, and what is the problem that you started with. Now, when I set this up, I was originally just going to give you this GPT, which is getting advice from Joe Dispenza. But if you would prefer, you can have a go at the problem solving coach one that I did before. So what I'm going to do is I am going to copy both of these into the chat. If I can get the chat out of the way and not muck myself up. So there's the Joe Dispenza one. And here's the problem solving one. So how about we take 5 minutes? Is everyone happy with that? We'll just take 5 minutes, run whichever one you prefer, and then I'll be here if anybody wants to ask any questions, but I'll call you all back at 12:52 my time. Does that sound fair enough? Now I'm just going to stop the share so everyone can work away. We had 5 minutes of playing with the different GPTs and talked about that. Now, if you do want to get in touch with me and you would like to have your custom AI role plan done for you and up to 5 of your colleagues, or you simply want to talk to me about how we could implement AI into your organization or how you as an individual could do the training with me, here's my QR code that will take you to my calendar. So please book in and I look forward to talking with you soon.